Another great episode. He is back today at 1 p.m. Eastern Time right here on the Stewart Media and Entertainment Network. My man John Fisher, Cooking with the Microwave, Patty Cake Microwave, is back on SME today at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Yeah. So, live programming. Once again, this is live programming today on SME. What's the big story or the big news, I guess, kind of in sports, entertainment, and beyond? Oh, yeah, the title of today's show, Leprechauns Dancing on Your Head. It looks like the Boston Celtics are going to wrap up the Eastern Conference, man, because the Cleveland Cavaliers don't give a shit. Right. Yeah, so Boston got a big win last night over the Brooklyn Nets. The Cavaliers went down to, and we'll discuss this more in detail in the next segment, but the Cavaliers went down to the Miami Heat, which is an incredible stat about, when the Cavs go and play Miami. That continues with the loss last night. And it looks like, based on their opponents that they have in their final game, that Boston's going to win the Eastern Conference. Now, I continue to say this, and you're listening to the Doug Stewart Show. I don't believe the Boston Celtics can beat the Cleveland Cavaliers in a 7-game series. But this makes it a whole lot more interesting, And I don't know whether Boston has been bad for so long. Well, if you count the era or not count the era where they had the big three. They were bad for a long time between Larry Bird. Once again, skip the big three era with KG, Pierce, and Rondo and those guys, and Ray Allen. And now they, had to build back up again. And so they're getting back to respectability right now. But, I guess in my mind for a long time, Boston, hasn't been a great organization. And now they're back to being one of the top teams in the Eastern Conference. They got a bunch of players that, you wouldn't consider as superstars, even though this Isaiah Thomas kid has been playing like a superstar. But Olynyk and Crowder, Jameson Crowder, and all of those cats. And so I don't know. Maybe they can be a real threat to the Cleveland Cavaliers to come out of the East. I don't know. I would not bet on it. But right now, it looks like that they're probably going to win the Eastern Conference. And if they do, that means in a Game 7, the Cleveland Cavaliers got to come to them. And that's big. That's a big story. Yeah. So we'll get into that conversation about the Boston Celtics and the Cleveland Cavaliers. Once again, Cavs lose in Miami for like the 57th, 11th time. We'll get into that conversation, man. Obviously, still talking about the MVP award. James Harden last night didn't do anything to really help himself. So we'll talk about that as well. And get into a lot of things here on the Doug Stewart Show. Entertainment today in hour number 2 of the show. We'll get into that, man. Have some fun. And we're also going to have on my man John Fisher in hour number 2 of the show in the 11 o'clock hour, man, and get his thoughts on some of these stories. John Fisher's a big fan of the NBA, so definitely want to get his thoughts about, what happened last night as the Boston Celtics beat the Brooklyn Nets 114-105. Combined with the Cleveland Cavaliers' overtime loss to the Miami Heat, leaves the Celtics 1 game up in the East with 1 game to play. So we'll get into that story more in depth in the next segment of the show. Once again, the number is 404-382-0338. You can also email me at doug@thedougstewartshow.com. Quick little message in the chat room on Spreaker.com from Duckin' and Dodgin'. He says, I think the Cavs still get out of the East, but it won't be easy. And that's another thing. It seems like the chemistry with the Cleveland Cavaliers this year, in particular with LeBron James, just isn't what it has been over the last couple of years, or really ever since LeBron's came into the league. You remember LeBron took the Cleveland Cavaliers to the finals in the first 4 or 5 years of his career, basically by himself. And it's kind of like this ongoing theme every year with the LeBron James teams, that they kind of struggle throughout the season, And right before the playoffs, and a lot of teams do this, just not LeBron and whatever team he's been on, but they really start to gel right before the playoffs. And we started to see that a little bit last week, but then they've kind of come back to earth, back to life, back to reality, a little bit like Soul to Soul. And over the last games, I think they're 4-6 in their last 10 games. Yesterday, when we talked about the Cavaliers and where they were at in the playoff run, they were 5-5. So I think that's going to put them at like 6-4 in their last 10 games. And that's just not what you want to see coming into the playoffs. They got these little nagging injuries, supposedly. I don't know if it's nagging injuries or it's just Tyronn Lue's way to rest his players, which all these cats like to do in 2017. I don't know which one it is, but they aren't clicking on all cylinders. They don't have that chemistry that LeBron James-led teams usually have had in the last couple of years going into the playoffs. So this year feels kind of different than in the past couple of years. I don't know if we expected them to win a championship or make it to 2 NBA finals as quick as they did when he came back to Cleveland, but they did, and they won a championship last year. And it seems like ever since that tremendous run, his last couple of years in Cleveland the first time, and his years in Miami, and then the years over the last couple of years when they made it to the finals twice and then won a championship, it doesn't feel like those years. It does not feel like those years. It feels like this is a little bit different, like they could be got. It feels like that they can be got this year by the Boston Celtics or, several teams in the Eastern Conference. So we'll get into all of that today on the Doug Stewart Show. Yeah. We'll talk about all that today on the Doug Stewart Show. Once again, a couple of interesting stories. A joke in Dallas. Have you heard the story about Tony Romo dressing out for the Dallas Mavericks? We'll touch upon that. That's going to be kind of funny, I think. And the other big thing that I definitely want to make time for today, man, is last night they had the last game in the Palace at Auburn Hills. And you talk about some of the great things that have gone down there, all those classic Pistons teams, Isaiah Thomas, Bill Laimbeer, the Bad Boys. And then probably the thing that most people are going to remember the Palace at Auburn Hills, man, for is the big fight that they had with the Pacers and Ron Artest going up in the stands and slapping the shit out of folks in the stands. Yeah. You talk about, and we'll get to this later as well on the show, you talk about remembering where you were when something happened. Like, there's several things that just pop in my mind as having that experience. Like, I remember where I was at when the Space Shuttle Challenger exploded. We were watching it in the library, at school. I don't even remember what grade I was or what year that was, but I remember that. I remember where I was when Mike Tyson got knocked out by Buster Douglas. I was at my girlfriend's house back at the crib in the big city of Moncks Corner. And I also remember where I was at when they had the big fight at the Palace at Auburn Hills. I was at Strokers. No lie. I was at Strokers over there off of, what's that? Mountain Industrial Boulevard over there in like Stone Mountain area. For my ATL people, y'all know where I'm talking about. Most of you do. So I was at Strokers. With some of the bros, and we were doing eating our lemon pepper wings and fries and watching a lot of bootleg up in our face. And they, when they in the strip club, they got all of the TVs up and going, and the music's blasting, and somebody, started pointing at the TV screen, and we get up and we turn around to the TV, and they don't have the TV volume up in the strip club or anything like that. So everybody in the club, even the strippers, stopped and was watching. No lie. Even the strippers were watching, man. I mean, everything stopped for like 10 minutes because after it was stopped, they kept showing the replays, and you didn't see the beginning, so you wanted to see what happened and what brought this whole, fiasco upon us. And it was just the craziest. It was creepy. It was creepy to see a player go up in the stands to whoop the shit out of a fan. Right. I mean, it was one of the strangest things. It has to rank up there, and you're listening to the Doug Stewart Show. It has to rank up there in the top 5, and maybe we have a top 5, folks. Maybe we have a top 5. So, if you're new to the Doug Stewart Show, a lot of times we will have a top 5, already set up and prepared that we will talk about and play and talk about throughout the show. But sometimes we come up with them on the fly. So maybe today I'll give you the top 5 strangest or maybe most memorable things that I can ever remember in my life seeing where sports was concerned. And the big brawl at the Palace at Auburn Hills has to rank up there, maybe top 1, 2, or 3. It might even be number 1. Yeah, so I'm going to start the list. Today, and we'll try to add to it all throughout today's show, and by the end of the 3 hours, the show is from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., maybe we'll have a definitive list of the top 5 strangest things in sports history, or at least in the last 40 years. Yeah. And maybe the stewards can help me out with that in the chat room on Spreaker.com. All right, when we get back from the break. Hey, Tiffany. Sports and Heels. When we get back from the break, man, we'll get back into the little talk from last night in the NBA, a couple other scores and highlights we'll throw out there as well, implications, and then maybe we'll read some chat in the first segment, real segment of the show today, all right? 404-382-0338. You can email me as well at doug@thedougstewartshow.com. We'll be back in 3 minutes. Don't go away.
Okay. Swerving my Suburban, swerving in my Suburban. The choppers blocker, the coppers gon' try knock us when I'm swerving my Suburban, swerving in my Suburban. I'm on swerve, swerving my Suburban, swerving in my Suburban. The choppers blocker, the coppers gon' try knock us when I'm swerving my Suburban, swerving in my Suburban. I'm on swerve. Riding through the city, dirty money like Diddy. Got a bad chick with me, she want me to stroke a kitty. That kush smoke got me on the highway doing 50 plus your boy on swerve. Like I want the cops to get me, baby girl wanna roll. Say she like the way I do things, nickname me Staircase. Stepping up my shoe game, slide to the nudie bar, put a couple stacks on it. Find a hotel bed, put a couple backs on it. I'm on swerve, I'm on swerve at the drive-thru, try and keep my tires off the curb. Rock already told you with swagger we stepping. Got the shorty on your arm, looking at my retro 7s. Bet that get you quite offended. You look at me with ice grill. I ain't sweating you, dog. I'm higher than a light bill. So keep it easy with the move swings. Sucker knuckles, tripping no shoestrings. Who bang? Swerving my Suburban, swerving in my Suburban. The choppers blocker, the coppers gon' try knock us when I'm swerving my Suburban, swerving in my Suburban. I'm on swerve, swerving my Suburban, swerving in my Suburban. The choppers blocker, the coppers gon' try knock us when I'm swerving my Suburban, swerving in my Suburban. I'm on swerve. In the club with my mans, got a drink in each hand. Mommy bustin' it open, all a boy can say is in. Plus she came with her girls, put them on with the homies. get a little sweaty, grab a bite at the Shoney's. Swerving my Suburban, I got a few bottles. So rockin' cranberry and I'm stepping on the throttle. Inhale the perp, ooh yeah, like Randy Savage. These chumps hating on me cause they smoking on the average. Fresh pair of Air Max.